Have you ever stopped to notice that some things in your life are changing in a strange way? Those coincidences that seem to be preparing you for something bigger? What if I told you that there are 12 clear signs, sent by the Creator himself, showing that great wealth is about to come to you? I'm not talking about luck or chance. I'm talking about divine signs that the universe places in your path when it decides to bless your financial life in a powerful and definitive way. And Virgo at heart, pay attention because this message was made especially for you. Do you know that feeling of having worked too hard, dedicated yourself beyond measure, organized everything down to the smallest detail, and yet it seems like the reward never comes? Well, the time has come for all that to change. God doesn't forget those who serve him, those who are faithful, those who care for things with love and perfection. And your sign carries these qualities like no other. You are one of those who doesn't do things halfway. When you take on a responsibility, you see it through to the end. When you promise something, you deliver. When you love, you give everything. And precisely because of all this dedication that often goes unnoticed, heaven has prepared a turning point in your material life that will surprise you. In this video, you will discover 12 signs that show divine prosperity has already begun to move in your direction. Some of these signs you may already be experiencing right now, you just hadn't stopped to notice. Others will appear in the coming days and weeks, and when that happens, you will remember that you were warned here. Because when God decides to release wealth into someone's life, he doesn't do it haphazardly. He prepares the ground, opens paths, removes obstacles, and sends clear messages to those who have eyes to see. And you who have always been observant, detail-oriented, who notice what others ignore, will recognize each of these signs. Stay with me until the end because the last sign is the most powerful of all, and if you are already experiencing it, you can be absolutely certain that financial transformation is knocking on your door. First sign. You begin to feel a deep peace even without having solved everything. This is one of the first signs that heaven sends when it is about to release abundance into your life. And for you, Virgo, who have always lived with that constant worry, with that need to solve everything, to have control over every detail, this may seem strange at first. But pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. When God decides to change your financial situation, he first changes what is inside you. Because it's no use him placing wealth in your hands if your heart is still full of fear, anxiety, and despair. True prosperity needs to find prepared ground, and that ground is your inner peace. You might be looking at your bills and thinking that it makes no sense to feel at peace. The debts are still there, the bills keep piling up. That project you were hoping for still hasn't worked out. But even so, lately you've noticed that something has changed inside you. That tightness in your chest has lessened. That constant fear that everything will go wrong has begun to dissipate. You wake up in the morning and instead of already feeling the weight of worries, you feel a strange confidence that everything will be all right. It's not that you're denying the problems. You remain realistic, you still see the difficulties. But now there's something greater inside you. A certainty that doesn't come from reason, but from the Spirit. This happens because the Creator is working behind the scenes of your life. He is rearranging situations, preparing encounters, aligning opportunities. And while this happens in the invisible world, he places this peace in your heart so that you don't give up right now, when you are so close to the turning point. Because think about it, how many times have you given up on something when you were just a little bit away? How many times was the blessing one step away from arriving and you, tired of waiting, decided to let go? God doesn't want that to happen again. That's why he gives you this supernatural peace, which doesn't make sense to the mind, but makes perfect sense to the spirit. This peace you're feeling is like a silent message telling you that you can relax now, that you can trust, that you no longer need to carry everything alone. It's God saying that he has taken control of the situation, and that from now on you only need to do your part with love and dedication, and he will take care of the rest. And for you, Virgo, who always wanted to be sure of everything, who always needed to plan every step, learning to trust like this is a miracle in itself. But when you manage to let go, when you truly surrender, when you stop trying to control every detail and let the divine work, things begin to flow in a way you never imagined. So look inside yourself now and see if that peace isn't starting to appear. Notice if you don't feel lighter, even without having resolved everything. Notice if that lump in your throat, that tightness in your stomach, aren't less than they were a few months ago. If the answer is yes, rejoice in your heart, because that is the first sign that God is preparing something great for you. Peace comes before provision. Calm comes before the harvest. And you, who have always been so mentally agitated, who have always had 1,000 thoughts at the same time, are being prepared to receive with gratitude and wisdom what is coming. Because wealth without peace is torment, but wealth with peace is a true blessing. It is prosperity that elevates you and does not destroy you. Second sign. People start recognizing your worth out of nowhere. You know very well what it's like to work hard and feel like nobody notices. You know what it's like to do everything perfectly, meticulously with dedication, and in the end, someone who did less gets the credit. You know what it's like to be the person everyone looks for when they need help, but when it comes time to appreciate you, they forget about you. This has always bothered you, always hurt you, but you continue doing your best anyway because that's your nature. You can't do things poorly. You can't deliver anything less than excellence, even if nobody is watching. Well, the time has come for all of that to change completely. When God decides to release wealth into your life, one of the first things He does is change how people see you. Suddenly, those same people who ignored you begin to realize how valuable you are. That boss who never praised you starts to recognize your work. Those colleagues who didn't pay attention to you start to seek you out for advice. That client who always haggled over your price now accepts paying what you're worth without question. And all this isn't because you changed overnight. It's because God is changing the way people see you. He is removing the veil from their eyes so they can see the treasure that has always been there, but which they were too blind to perceive. This might be happening to you right now, and perhaps you haven't yet given these signs the attention they deserve. Think about it. How many times in the last few weeks has someone praised you for no apparent reason? How many times have you received unexpected recognition? How many times has someone said that you are essential, that you make a difference, that things wouldn't be the same without you? It may seem like little things, just isolated words, but it's not a coincidence. It's heaven preparing the ground so that these same people become bridges to your financial blessings. Because wealth doesn't fall from the sky on its own. It comes through people, opportunities, and doors that open. And for those doors to open, people first need to recognize your value. There's one more important thing about this sign. When God values you in the eyes of others, He is also teaching you to value yourself. Because often you accept less than you deserve. You charge low prices for your work because you're afraid of losing clients. You accept bad conditions because you think you won't get better. You diminish yourself because you've learned not to trust your own worth. But when the people around you start treating you differently, when they start seeking you out with more respect, when they start paying better for what you offer, something inside you also changes. You begin to believe that you truly deserve more. And when you start charging what you're worth, when you establish healthy boundaries, when you no longer accept crumbs, the universe conspires to give you exactly what you declared you deserve. So pay attention to the compliments that are coming your way. Don't dismiss that unexpected recognition. Don't ignore it when someone says you are special. Because each of these comments is a seed of prosperity being planted. And when harvest time comes, you will understand that it all began when people were awakened to see who you always were. God is taking you out of invisibility. He is putting you in the spotlight. And when He does that, it's because financial blessings need visibility to reach you. If this message resonated with your zodiac sign, trust me, it's no coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal. And you're here because you needed to hear this today. Your contribution as a subscriber or member is what keeps these messages alive. Messages that touch, awaken, and transform lives. And if this video made sense to you, leave your birth date in the comments. Now let's continue with our video. Third sign, old problems begin to resolve themselves. There's something that happens when God decides to change your financial life. And this is one of the most powerful signs you can observe. Those old problems, those situations that have tormented you for months or even years, begin to resolve themselves unexpectedly, without you having to fight as hard as you did before. And this doesn't mean you've been stuck. It means that now there's a greater force working alongside you, untying knots, opening paths, making things flow instead of constantly stalling. For you, Virgo, who have always been one to solve everything through your own efforts, to handle every detail personally, this might even confuse you at first. Because you're used to having to fight for every small victory. You're used to having to chase after every solution, to having to insist 1,000 times to achieve something. But suddenly that debt that seemed impossible to pay off finds a way out that you hadn't planned for. That document that was stuck for so long is finally released. That misunderstanding that was harming your professional life is cleared up without you having to explain yourself. That person who owed you money for a long time appears out of nowhere to pay. And you're left wondering how this happened because it doesn't make sense in your rational mind. But it makes perfect sense on a spiritual level. When the Creator decides to release abundance to someone, He first clears the ground. He removes the obstacles that were preventing the blessing from arriving. Because it's no use Him putting new money in your hand if you have 10 old problems consuming all your energy and resources. So He goes behind the scenes and begins to undo the shackles, to untie the knots, to resolve what seemed impossible to solve. And often He does this in such a natural way that you don't even realize it was a miracle. You think it was luck, that it was coincidence, that it was just the right time. But it wasn't. It was the hand of the divine preparing the way for prosperity to reach you without obstacles. And there's a very important detail in this sign. Notice that I said the problems start to resolve themselves, but that doesn't mean you're not doing anything. You continue doing your part. You continue working, planning, organizing because that's your nature. But now the things you do have a different result. Before, you worked twice as hard and achieved half. Now you work half as hard and achieve twice. Before, you took 10 steps and walked 2. Now you take 2 steps and walk 10. This is a clear sign that there is a divine multiplication happening in your life. God is amplifying every effort of yours, making each action yield much more than it would naturally. Look back now and realize how many things have resolved themselves recently in ways you didn't expect. That health problem that improved. That family conflict that calmed down. That positive situation that progressed. Each of these resolutions wasn't just a relief, it was a sign. It was God showing that He is taking care of you, that He is removing weight from your shoulders so that you have the space and energy to receive the new things that are coming. Because you can't carry the weight of the past and embrace the blessing of the future at the same time. So He lightens the load of the past so that your hands are free to receive the present He has prepared for you. And Virgo, you who have always carried so much alone, can finally breathe a sigh of relief knowing that you are no longer alone on this journey. 4th sign. You feel the desire to change old habits. This is a subtle but extremely powerful sign. Suddenly, without anyone pressuring you, without you having made any New Year's resolutions, you begin to feel a genuine desire to change certain things in your life. You look at that habit that has been with you for years and for the first time feel a real urge to let go. You realize that certain behaviors no longer make sense to you. You feel an inner calling to get better organized, to take better care of your health, to distance yourself from people who only drag you down, to make better use of your time. And the most impressive thing is that this desire doesn't come from outside. It's not social pressure. It's not a trend. It's not comparison. It's something that is born within you. As if a silent voice were showing you that you deserve more, that you can do more, that you are capable of living at a higher level. For you, Virgo, who are already naturally organized and disciplined, perhaps this sign will come in a different way. Maybe it's not about organizing the house or making a list because you already do that. Maybe it's about organizing your emotions. Maybe it's about stopping demanding so much of yourself. Maybe it's about allowing yourself to rest without guilt. Maybe it's about stopping sacrificing yourself for people who don't value your sacrifice. Maybe it's about setting boundaries that you never had the courage to set before. Because, you see, God doesn't just want to give you money. He wants to give you a full, balanced, healthy life. And often you are so busy being useful to others that you forget to take care of yourself. When heaven decides to prosper you, it first teaches you to value your own life. Because what good is having a lot of money if you are sick, stressed, unhappy? What good is conquering the world and losing your peace? So it begins to awaken you to take better care of yourself. It gives you a genuine desire to change what is harming you. And when you begin to honor that desire, when you begin to make real changes, the universe understands that you are ready for a new level of life. Because only those who are prepared to manage abundance receive abundance. And preparation is not just knowing how to handle money. It's knowing how to handle yourself, your emotions, your choices, your body, your mind. So if you're feeling the urge to wake up earlier, to start exercising, to eat better, to study something new, to distance yourself from toxic environments, to stop complaining so much, to be more grateful, pay attention to this. Don't ignore this inner calling. Don't put it off. Because this desire that is being born within you is not yours. It is God preparing you for what He will give you. It is the divine molding you so that you fit into the blessing He has set aside for you. Many people lose blessings because they are not prepared. They receive money and spend it on nonsense. They receive opportunities and waste them due to lack of discipline. They receive blessed relationships and destroy them because they haven't worked through their own wounds. But with you it will be different, because God is preparing you from the inside out. He is transforming you before He prospers you. And when wealth arrives, you will be mature enough to honor every penny, to multiply every opportunity, to use every resource with wisdom and purpose. Don't resist these changes that are trying to happen within you. Embrace them. Cooperate with them. Because every habit you change, every attitude you improve, every behavior you transform, is a door you are opening for prosperity to enter your life. The universe doesn't place blessings where there is chaos. It doesn't pour abundance where there is waste. But when it sees that you are taking good care of the little things, it entrusts you with the much. And you, Virgo, who have this natural gift of taking care of things with excellence, are now being called to use this gift on yourself, to treat your life with the same care that you treat the responsibilities of others. Fifth sign. Opportunities appear in unexpected places. One of the clearest signs that God is about to release wealth into your life is when opportunities begin to appear from where you least expect them. And I'm not talking about those obvious opportunities that everyone sees. I'm talking about those that arise strangely, that don't make much sense at first, that take you by surprise because you weren't looking for them at that moment. Suddenly someone you barely knew calls you for a project. An idea you had a long time ago and had abandoned comes back to your mind with full force. A path that seemed closed opens up in a completely unexpected way. A person from the past reappears bringing a proposal you never imagined. For you, Virgo, who likes to plan everything, who likes to be in control of the next steps, this type of situation might even make you uncomfortable at first. Because you didn't plan it. It wasn't in your plans. It's not part of the strategy you had so carefully crafted in your head. But the universe doesn't follow your plans. It has bigger and better plans than yours. And often it surprises you precisely to take you out of your comfort zone and teach you to trust more. Because if the blessing came exactly as you imagined, you would think it was your own merit. But when it comes from where you least expect it, you can't deny that it was the divine at work. These unexpected opportunities are like gifts wrapped in a unique way. First, you look at them and think they're not for you. You doubt. You question. You find it strange. But when you have the courage to open them, when you accept to investigate, when you give a chance to what heaven is placing before you, you discover that it was exactly what you needed, only in a way you never could have imagined on your own. And then you understand that God is creative, that He is not limited by His plans, that He has infinite resources to bless you in ways that your limited mind could never have planned. There's another important thing about this sign. These unexpected opportunities usually come with a test of faith, because they require you to step out of your comfort zone. They ask you to trust something you don't fully understand. They challenge you to take a step without being absolutely sure where you're landing. And for those of you who like to have everything mapped out, to know every detail before acting, this can seem daunting. But it's precisely at this point that growth lies. It's precisely in this discomfort that transformation resides. Because if you only accept what you already know, if you only do what you already master, how will you expand? How will you grow? How will you reach places you've never been before if you keep doing the same things? So when that strange opportunity arises, that unexpected invitation, that idea that takes you out of autopilot, don't dismiss it right away just because it wasn't in your plans. Stop. Breathe. Ask the divine for discernment. Evaluate calmly. Because it may be exactly the door you were asking for, only disguised in a different way than you expected. It may be that the person who called you is the angel God sent to take you out of the place where you've been stagnant for so long. It may be that the idea that seems crazy is the project that will completely change the course of your financial life. Don't let the fear of the unknown make you miss the blessing. Learn to recognize God's voice, even when He speaks in ways different from what you're used to. Sixth sign. You stop comparing yourself to others. This is one of the most liberating and, at the same time, one of the most important signs. When God is about to prosper you, He first heals that wound within you that makes you look at the lives of others and feel inferior. He frees you from the prison of constantly comparing yourself, of measuring your worth by someone else's standards, of thinking you're behind because so-and-so has already achieved it and you haven't yet. Suddenly you realize that it no longer bothers you to see someone else achieving what you also want. It no longer hurts to know that someone else is earning more than you. Those success posts that used to make you feel like a failure no longer affect you. And this isn't because you've become insensitive. It's because you finally understood that everyone has their own time, their own path, their own story. For you, Virgo, who tend to be very self-critical, who always think you could have done better, who blame yourself for every mistake, every delay, every imperfection, this liberation is a miracle. Because you've spent your whole life comparing yourself, judging yourself, punishing yourself for not being as fast as others, for not yet having achieved what others your age have already achieved. You looked at that colleague who rose faster in the company and wondered what you had done wrong. You saw that acquaintance who bought their own house and felt like a failure. You watched that relative who prospered and wondered why it was so difficult for you. But now something has changed within you. Now, when you see someone succeeding, instead of feeling envy, you feel genuine joy. Instead of thinking that another's blessing diminishes yours, you understand that there is abundance for everyone. Instead of thinking you are losing the race, you realize that there is no race at all, that each person is walking their own path at their own pace according to the specific purpose that heaven has designed for each life. And this change of perspective is no small thing. It is a clear sign of spiritual maturity. It is evidence that you are ready to receive without becoming corrupted, without becoming arrogant, without getting lost in the midst of prosperity. Because, you see, God doesn't give wealth to those who are still trapped in competition, comparison, and envy. He doesn't entrust resources to those who will use them to show off, to humiliate others, to feel superior. But when He sees that you've reached a level of consciousness where the success of others no longer threatens you, where you can root for others with a pure heart, where you understand that each person's blessing has a different purpose, then He knows He can entrust you with abundance without the risk of you becoming corrupted by it. Because you won't use the money to prove anything to anyone. You will use it to fulfill your purpose, to take care of your loved ones, to do good, to leave a legacy. So if you've noticed that this need to compare yourself is fading from within you, celebrate. Because this is a sign that you are being prepared for a level of prosperity that demands humility, gratitude, and awareness. You are being healed from the wounds of the ego, so that you can receive the blessings of the Spirit. And when wealth arrives, it won't change you for the worse as it does for many people. It will only give you more resources to be who you already are at heart, which is someone good, dedicated, hardworking, and willing to make a difference in the lives of others. Continue honoring this inner victory. Continue celebrating the success of others. Continue focusing on your path without looking to the sides with envy. Because the more you live like this, the faster your own blessing arrives. 7th sign. You begin to receive signs in dreams and strong intuitions. When the universe is about to release something big into your life, it begins to speak to you in ways that go beyond reason. And one of the most common ways is through dreams and those intuitions that arise out of nowhere and won't leave your head. You wake up from a dream and are left with that strange feeling, as if you've received an important message but can't fully translate it into words. You're doing your normal daily activities and suddenly a strong thought comes, a certainty you don't know where it came from, a deep feeling that something is changing. And for you, Virgo, who lives very much in the rational mind, who likes logical explanations for everything, this can even confuse you at first. Because you're used to trusting what you can see, measure, and prove. You're not the type to believe just anything. You question, you analyze, you need facts. But these spiritual signs don't follow the logic of the mind. They come straight to the heart, to the soul, to that part of you that knows things without needing to understand how you know them. And when God wants to prepare you to receive wealth, He needs to teach you to listen to those inner voices, to trust those intuitions, to pay attention to those subtle signs that materialistic life has taught you to ignore. Because many opportunities will appear disguised, and if you only trust reason, you'll miss what the Spirit is trying to show you. Perhaps you recently dreamed of clean water, fish, harvest, fruit, money, or someone handing you something. Maybe you had that dream where you were in a larger house, or in a beautiful place that brought you peace. Maybe you dreamed of people who have passed away, and who brought messages of comfort and hope. None of this is random. Dreams are one of the divine's favorite languages to speak to His children. And when He is about to change your financial situation, He sends these nightly warnings so that you wake up prepared, confident, hopeful, even if the material reality doesn't yet show anything. Beyond dreams, there are intuitions. That feeling that you need to call a certain person. That sudden urge to go somewhere you hadn't planned to go. That insight that comes out of nowhere about how to solve an old problem. That feeling that you shouldn't accept a certain proposal, even if it seems good on paper. Or conversely, that certainty that you should say yes to something that logic would tell you to refuse. These intuitions are the Holy Spirit guiding you, protecting you, directing you to the right doors and keeping you away from traps. And when you begin to obey these inner voices, when you act based on these spiritual certainties, you realize that things flow better, that you avoid problems you were going to face, that you find solutions you weren't looking for. Learn to value these subtle signs. Don't dismiss a dream just because you don't fully understand its meaning. Don't ignore an intuition just because you can't explain it rationally. Start writing down these dreams when you wake up. Pay attention to patterns, to recurring symbols. Ask God to teach you how to interpret what He is showing you. And above all, act according to what you receive. Because it's no use for heaven to send you signs if you don't trust them enough to act. God is speaking to you in every possible way. He is preparing you, warning you, guiding you. Learn to listen with spiritual ears, and you will be surprised by the amount of guidance available to you at every moment. 8th sign. You feel gratitude for what you already have. This is one of the most transformative signs, and also one of the most powerful indicators that prosperity is coming. When God is about to give you more, He first teaches you to value what you already have. Because it makes no sense for Him to place abundance in your hands if you constantly complain about how little you possess. It's no use for Him to multiply if you are not grateful for the basics. So before releasing wealth, He changes your heart. He removes that scarcity mindset that only sees what is lacking and gives you eyes to see the abundance that already exists. And when you begin to be grateful for your daily bread, for the house that shelters you, for the clothes that cover you, for the people who love you, something magical happens. The universe understands that you are ready to manage more. For you, Virgo, who tends to focus on what still needs improvement, what isn't perfect, what's left to do, this change of perspective is revolutionary. Because you spend your whole life seeing flaws, problems, what could go wrong, what isn't good enough. You look at your house and see what needs fixing instead of being grateful for having a roof over your head. You look at your job and see what's difficult instead of being grateful for having a source of income. You look at people and see their flaws instead of being grateful for their company. This critical mind has been with you for so long that you don't even realize how much it steals your joy and blocks abundance. But when God decides to prosper you, He first heals that perspective. He gives you a grateful heart. And suddenly you wake up in the morning and instead of thinking about everything you need to do, you are grateful for having woken up. You look at the food on your plate and instead of thinking it's insufficient, you are grateful for not going hungry. You think about the people around you and instead of only seeing the problems, you are grateful for their presence. This is the fertile ground where blessings grow. Because gratitude is like a magnet for prosperity. The more you are grateful, the more reasons you receive to be grateful. The more you recognize the value of what you already have, the more value the universe places in your life. There's a powerful spiritual principle in this. Everything you value multiplies. Everything you despise diminishes. If you constantly complain about your salary, why would heaven give you a higher salary? So you can complain more? If you don't take good care of your old car, why do you deserve a new one? If you don't value the friendships you have, why would the universe bring you better friendships? God is always watching how you treat what you've already received, because that shows how you will treat what you will still receive. And when He sees that you lovingly care for the little you have, that you honor every blessing even if it's small, that you don't waste anything, He trusts that you are ready for much. So start practicing gratitude right now. When you wake up tomorrow, before you pick up your phone, give thanks for another day. When you eat, give thanks for the food. When you leave home, give thanks for having a home. When you receive your salary, even if you think it's little, give thanks because there are people with nothing. When you look at your children, your spouse, your parents, give thanks for their presence. When you face a problem, give thanks because it taught you something. Change the frequency of your heart from complaining to gratitude, and you will see how life begins to conspire in your favor. Wealth doesn't come to those who complain, comes to those who are grateful. And you are being prepared now to be someone who prospers with humility, who grows with gratitude, who receives blessing upon blessing because you know how to honor every gift that heaven places in your hands. 9th sign. Toxic people naturally begin to leave your life. This is one of the most important signs, and often one of the most painful, but extremely necessary. When God decides to elevate you financially, He first needs to cleanse your social circle. Because it's no use giving you wealth if you're surrounded by people who will drain your energy, envy your success, and pull you back to where you're coming from. So what happens? Those toxic friendships begin to drift away on their own. Those family members who only sought you out to ask for things or to criticize begin to disappear. Those people who pretended to support you, but secretly rooted against you, begin to show their true colors and naturally distance themselves. And yes, this can hurt at first, especially for you, Virgo, who are loyal, value relationships, and don't like to lose people. But understand one important thing. When someone leaves your life without you having done anything to push them away, it's because the universe is doing a cleansing. It's because the divine knows that that person would have hindered your growth. Many times you insist on keeping people close because of past experiences, pity, or fear of being alone. But God knows that this insistence is costing you dearly. These people drain you, criticize you, make you doubt yourself, and fill you with negative thoughts. And as long as you allow them to occupy space in your life, you don't have room for the right people to enter, for true connections to appear, for relationships that will propel you forward instead of holding you back. Notice how this is happening in your life right now. That friend who always called you suddenly stopped. That family member who practically lived at your house has now found someone else. That person who demanded so much attention from you is now distant. And at first you were worried, you tried to understand what happened, you even blamed yourself thinking you did something wrong. But in reality, it wasn't anything you did. It was heaven working in your favor. It was God protecting you from relationships that would harm you when the blessing arrived. Because there are people who can't stand to see you grow. There are people who prefer to see you small because that way they feel bigger. And these people need to leave before prosperity arrives, otherwise they will do everything to sabotage, to diminish, to make you feel guilty for being well. Furthermore, when the wrong people leave, it's because the right people are coming in. God is making room in your life for connections that will add value, for true friendships, for honest business partners, for healthy relationships that will celebrate your victories instead of envying them. But these new people won't arrive while the places are occupied by the old ones who no longer serve you. So if someone is leaving now, don't chase after them. Don't beg them to stay. Don't diminish yourself trying to win them back. Let them go in peace. Be grateful for the time you spent together and trust that the universe knows what it's doing. Because every departure is a preparation for a better arrival. And there's more. This separation is also teaching you to be comfortable alone, to not be emotionally dependent on anyone, to have your own inner peace without needing external validation. And this is fundamental for those who will prosper, because wealth attracts many false people, many self-serving individuals, many opportunists. And if you don't learn now to discern who is genuine from who is false, you will suffer when the money arrives. But God is training you now, teaching you to perceive intentions, to value quality over quantity in relationships, to prefer a few genuine people to many false ones. When prosperity arrives, you will know exactly who deserves to be by your side and who needs to stay away. And this wisdom is worth more than any fortune. 10th sign. You have creative ideas and feel the desire to create something new. This is a powerful sign that God is releasing prosperity in your direction. Suddenly you start having ideas you've never had before. Projects you never thought of begin to emerge in your mind. A desire to create something new, to start a business, to develop a talent, to transform that hobby into a source of income. And the most interesting thing is that these ideas come with a different force. It's not just a passing thought. It's something that keeps hammering in your head, that wakes you up in the middle of the night, that makes you scribble plans, that fills you with excitement. This is not a coincidence. It is the Creator Spirit working through you, planting seeds of abundance in the form of inspiration. For you, Virgo, with your incredible practical skills, your ability to make things work, your attention to detail, and your capacity for execution, these creative ideas could be the beginning of something much bigger than you imagine. Perhaps it's a course you can create teaching something you're an expert in. Perhaps it's a product you can develop solving a problem you yourself faced. Perhaps it's a service you can offer using gifts you've always had but never financially valued. Perhaps it's a side business that could become your main source of income. The important thing is that you don't ignore these inspirations just because they seem too big, or because you think you don't have time, or because you're afraid of failure. When God gives you an idea, He also gives you the resources to execute that idea. It may not all come at once. You may need to start small. You may have to build little by little. But if the idea was planted by Him, He will ensure that it grows, that doors open, that the right people appear, that the necessary resources manifest. Your part is to honor the inspiration. Your part is to begin, even without having everything ready. Your part is to take the first step with faith, trusting that the next steps will become clear as you walk. There's something you need to understand about prosperity. It rarely comes from where you already are. It comes from something new you create, from a risk you take, from a project you start. If you keep doing the same things forever, you'll keep getting the same results forever. But when you dare to create something different, when you turn an idea into action, when you bring out what heaven has placed within you, then you open a new channel for abundance to flow. And often this new channel becomes greater than all the old ones combined. So take that idea that's been swirling around in your head and start shaping it. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be planned down to the smallest detail. You Virgo love to plan everything before you start, but sometimes planning becomes an excuse to never begin. So this time, do things differently. Start even if everything isn't ready. Take the first step even if you're afraid. Share the idea with someone you trust. Write the project. Do some research. Create a prototype. Test it with a small group. Do something that takes that idea out of your head and into the real world. Because while it stays inside you, it doesn't multiply. But when you release it, when you act on it, the universe conspires to expand it, to connect you with the right people, to open the necessary paths. 11th sign. You stop worrying about the opinions of others. This is a sign of profound spiritual maturity and a clear indicator that you are ready for a new level of prosperity. When you finally understand that the opinions of others about you do not define who you are, nor determine your worth, nor limit your potential, you free yourself from one of the greatest prisons that exist. And this liberation is essential for those who will prosper, because wealth attracts judgment. Success attracts criticism. Growth attracts envy. And if you are still trapped in the need for others' approval, you will freeze, you will sabotage yourself, you will diminish yourself just to avoid bothering anyone. But when you reach the point of doing what needs to be done regardless of what others think, then you are ready to soar high. For you, Virgo, who tend to be very concerned with perfection and approval, who always want to do everything right so as not to be criticized, this transformation is liberating. Because you spent too much time trying to please everyone. You stopped doing things you wanted to do for fear of what others would say. You diminished yourself to fit other people's expectations. You hid your talents because you were ashamed to stand out. You accepted less than you deserved because you didn't want to seem arrogant. But now something has changed. Now you realize that no matter what you do, there will always be someone to criticize. There will always be those who think it's too little, those who think it's too much, those who think it's wrong. And if you live trying to please these external voices, you will never live your own life. You will never fulfill your own purpose. When God gives you this liberation, when you stop caring so much about opinions that don't build you up, you gain the courage to make choices that previously scared you. You accept that promotion even knowing they'll say you don't deserve it. You raise the price of your work even knowing some will complain. You invest in that project even knowing some people will think it's crazy. You distance yourself from toxic environments even knowing they'll speak ill of you. You do what your heart tells you, what your purpose asks for, what your peace demands, regardless of audience, applause, or approval. And you know what's even more interesting? When you stop seeking approval, you paradoxically gain more respect. Because people notice when you're self-assured, when you know your worth, when you don't need their validation. And that self-assurance is magnetic. It attracts opportunities, partners, clients, quality relationships. Because nobody wants to associate with someone who lives insecurely, who changes their mind according to the opinions of others, who lacks firmness in their own convictions. But when you become unshakable, when you know your worth and don't negotiate it for crumbs of acceptance, the right people find you and recognize you. So if you're noticing that old need to please everyone is fading, if you're able to say no without guilt, if you're making choices based on what's good for you and not on what others will think, celebrate. Because that's a sign that you're mature enough for prosperity. You won't use money to impress anyone. You won't show off to gain approval. You won't lose yourself trying to prove your worth to those who don't value you. You will simply prosper by being yourself, fulfilling your purpose, living according to your values, at peace with your choices. And that is the truest wealth there is. 12th sign. You feel an inexplicable certainty that something good is coming. This is the most powerful sign of all. It's that certainty that doesn't come from the mind, that logic can't explain, but that you feel deep in your soul. It's a kind of faith that doesn't need proof because it is the proof itself. You wake up and know, without knowing how you know, that your life is about to change. You look to the future and instead of seeing only worry, you see possibility. You think about the coming months and have a strange peace, a good expectation. A conviction that better days are coming. And this is not blind optimism. It's not illusion. It's not forced positive thinking. It's a deep spiritual certainty that the universe has conspired in your favor, and that you are entering a harvest season after so much time of planting. For you, Virgo, who lives so much in the rational mind, who needs concrete data to believe in something, this certainty that comes from the spirit may seem strange at first. Because you look around and the external situation hasn't changed yet. The bills are still there. The problems haven't disappeared. The numbers in the bank haven't exploded overnight. But even so, you feel a peace that didn't make sense to feel. Even so, you have a hope that doesn't come from visible evidence. Even so, you smile at the future as if you already knew the end of the story. And do you know why? Because your spirit is capturing information that your mind hasn't yet processed. Your soul is perceiving movements in the invisible world that haven't yet manifested in the visible world. When God is going to change your situation, He first changes what is inside you. He gives you faith before giving you facts. He gives you certainty before giving you evidence. He plants in your heart the conviction that it will happen, so that when it happens you will not be surprised, you will not despair with gratitude, you will not lose your head with a blessing. Because you already knew. You were already expecting it. You were already prepared because heaven warned you first in secret, in silence, in that inner voice that only you hear. And this prior preparation is what keeps you humble when wealth arrives. It is what makes you use resources well. It is what prevents you from being corrupted by abundance. There's something very important about this sign. Comes with a responsibility, because when you're certain that something good is going to happen, you can't just stand there waiting for it to fall from the sky. You need to act on that certainty. You need to prepare to receive what's coming. You need to tidy up your house, organize your finances, study what you need to study, connect with the right people. Do your part while God does His. Faith without action is dead faith. Certainty without movement is illusion. But when you combine that spiritual conviction with practical action, with dedicated work, with wise decisions, then you become a channel for the miracle to manifest. So look inside yourself now and see if that certainty isn't growing. See if you aren't more hopeful than you were a few months ago. See if there isn't an anticipated joy, a quiet confidence that you will win, that you will prosper, that your story will change. If you are feeling this, don't doubt. Don't let the rational mind kill your spiritual faith. Don't allow external circumstances to extinguish the inner flame. Because this certainty that heaven has placed in you is more real than any temporary difficulty you are facing. God doesn't put dreams in your heart to frustrate you. He doesn't give you visions of a better future to deceive you. When He shows, it's because He will do it. When He promises, it's because He will fulfill it. And your only responsibility is to continue trusting, continue working, continue believing until you see with your physical eyes what your heart is already seeing in the spiritual world. If this message resonated with your zodiac sign, trust me, it's no coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal. And you're here because you needed to hear this today. Your contribution as a subscriber or member is what keeps these messages alive. Messages that touch, awaken, and transform lives. And if this video made sense to you, leave your birth date in the comments. Virgo, we have reached the end of this journey through the 12 divine signs that show God is about to release wealth into your life. And if you've made it this far, if you've watched until the end, it's because something within you recognized the truth in these words. It's because your spirit confirmed that these signs are not a coincidence, that they are present in your life right now, preparing you for a financial transformation that will surprise even you. Let's remember the signs we discussed. The profound peace you've begun to feel even without having resolved everything. The recognition you're receiving from people who previously didn't value you. Old problems resolving themselves in unexpected ways. The genuine desire to change habits that no longer serve you. Opportunities appearing in places you never imagined. Freedom from comparing yourself to others. The dreams and intuitions guiding you. Gratitude for what you already have. The natural departure of toxic people from your life. The creative ideas that fill you with excitement. Freedom from the opinions of others. And above all, that inexplicable certainty that something very good is on its way. If you've identified at least 5 of these signs in your life right now, you can be absolutely certain that you are entering a season of divine prosperity. It's not luck. It's not chance. It's the harvest. It's the reward for everything you planted with dedication, with work, with faith, with perseverance. It's God honoring every sacrifice you made, every tear you cried, every sleepless night thinking about how to solve problems, every time you persevered, even when you wanted to give up. All of this was seen. All of this was recorded. And now the time has come for you to receive multiplied what you never stopped sowing. But remember one very important thing. When wealth arrives, don't forget where it came from. Don't forget who supported you when you had nothing. Don't forget the promises you made during difficult times. Don't let money change your heart. Don't allow abundance to distance you from the Creator. Don't use prosperity to show off or humiliate those who are still struggling. Use your blessing to bless others. Multiply the good you receive. Be an instrument of transformation in the lives of others. Because prosperity without purpose is empty, but prosperity with a mission is eternal. And for those of you who haven't yet subscribed to the channel, now is the time. Don't let this message pass you by without taking action. Subscribe now, activate the notification bell, because there's much more powerful content coming to help you on this spiritual journey. Share this video with other Virgos who need to hear this today. Leave a comment telling us which of these 12 signs touched your heart the most. And if you feel that these messages truly make a difference in your life, consider becoming a channel member. Your contribution is what allows this work to continue, to reach more people, and to transform more lives. I want you to do an exercise with me now. Close your eyes for a moment and visualize the version of yourself 6 months from now, a year from now. Visualize yourself prosperous, abundant, financially fulfilled. Visualize yourself with your bills paid, with money to spare, with the resources to do what you've always wanted to do. Visualize yourself helping those you love, fulfilling dreams, living with dignity and abundance. Feel how good that is. Feel the gratitude you will feel when it becomes reality. Now open your eyes and decide that you will work every day to honor that vision. Because it's not fantasy, it's prophecy. It's heaven showing you what is prepared for you. Virgo, I have a certainty in my heart about you. You will not suffer need for the rest of your life. You will not live eternally struggling to survive. You will not die without seeing your dreams fulfilled. Because God is just, and He does not abandon those who serve Him sincerely. Your days of scarcity are numbered. Your season of want is ending. And very soon you will look back and be moved remembering everything you went through. But you will smile knowing that each difficulty prepared you to wisely manage the abundance that has arrived. So lift your head, dry your tears, take a deep breath, and keep walking with faith. Because your victory isn't a question of if, it's a question of when. And from what the signs are showing, that when is closer than you imagine. Trust the process, honor the journey, be grateful for the signs, and prepare your heart to receive the greatest financial blessing you've ever experienced in your life. God is in control, and He never fails those who trust in Him. So be it, and so it is. Thank you for getting this far. See you in the next video with more powerful revelations for your sign. Stay in peace and prosperity.